In a tough economic environment, airlines in the UAE are unbundling their services. How much money are they making in the process, and where does that end? You're watching Inside AB. I'm Jeremy Lawrence, and I'm joined here in the studio by Shayan Shakeel. Shay, it's quite interesting how this has evolved quite quickly really in recent months and years. But first, tell us what unbundling is.
So unbundling is basically, when you used to buy a ticket, you used to buy just the ticket and get like meals on board, and that was it.
Yeah.
So now airlines have figured out that they can charge money for, meals on board, faster track access and things like that. They call that ancillary services. But what it really is taking the base fare, which is just the seat, and then charging for any add-ons.
Right. Clever. Why would a traditional airline do that? Because we've seen the budget airlines in other countries do it. Why would an Emirates or an Etihad do it?
Primarily to generate more revenue is the simplest answer. Aviation is a global business, and the global economy, as you know, could become a bit softer than it already is, and especially more so in the Middle East. I mean, oil prices are rising. In fact, Emirates' CEO Tim Clark says he's warning of a mini recession that's about to hit the aviation industry because of those oil prices. So given that airlines only make about single digits in income per $100 that a passenger spends, they really want to they could generate a significant amount of revenue with these ancillary services.
Right. And how much money are they making in doing so already?
Well, Flydubai generates about 11.9% of its revenue from these services. That's about $16 per passenger in revenue for a total of $178 million. So
Wow.
it's a huge chunk of change. Air Arabia generates $14.54 per passenger, 12.2% of revenue, and that's about $124 million.
Gosh, significant.
Yeah.
But these are the low-cost carriers. What about, again, returning to your Emirates and your Etihads?
Well, Emirates doesn't disclose how much it makes from ancillary services, but in its statements, it did say it makes a significant amount. It has been pursuing the strategy for maybe about a year or so now.
Right.
And so what it says is now you can pay to choose seats on the plane, and when you book 48 hours in advance, you can pay for some lounge access if you're an economy class passenger. Emirates has a bigger playing field, though. I mean, the amount of things that you can do when you're going through T3 or even on Emirates, like from the in-flight entertainment to the internet, is significant. So you could expect that Emirates would be able to generate quite a bit of money.
Okay. What about excess baggage fees? Is that something that they're making a lot of money on?
That's an interesting point because Flydubai and Air Arabia charge to bring baggage on board. Emirates actually gives you a generous allowance of 30 kilos if you're a regular economy passenger. But I mean, a lot of people do go pack more than 30 kilos, and so Emirates disclosed that it made about $117 million from those passengers, which is basically nearly all of the money that Air Arabia makes in its ancillary service strategy.
Wow. So how far can this go? Because as you just alluded to, there's so many things that they could charge for. They could slice it up like a salami sausage, couldn't they?
Yeah, and maybe they probably even will with the way things are going. I mean, on Ryanair, you pay for the seat, and then you pay for everything else. What these guys are doing, like for instance, Emirates has now said, like we discussed, if you're an economy class passenger, you can pay to sit in business class or first class, anything over $100 and up. On Flydubai, you pay for the in-flight entertainment, and we don't, so there's quite a bit. Emirates only makes 0.5% of its revenue from excess baggage fees. It probably stands to make more from ancillary revenues.
What about Etihad? What are they charging for?
So Etihad didn't disclose its numbers. Etihad is obviously in a bit of a situation right now, but
They're charging for seats though, aren't they?
well, they're charging for instance, if you sat in the middle aisle and the center seat, you could pay to have the next two seats empty,
Right.
which would be extremely extravagant.
Do you have to pay to choose your seat though?
No, not yet. Not on Etihad yet. What you do though is that, for instance, if you wanted to pay for the services that they offer in their lounges, like they have salons and barbers, and you can pay for chauffeur drive. That's what the kind of stuff that you can pay for on Etihad. But I'm sure that airlines, I think, will start charging they'll start charging less. For instance, if you want to fly without baggage, which is similar to the low cost model, but positioned differently.
Okay, and. Internationally, if we look abroad, what other examples are there of things that have been charged for that could come in here?
Well, Lufthansa charges for fast track access if you're one of their members and a privileged member at that. And so we can probably see that airlines would start charging for more stuff like this, like lounge access at airports abroad, and chauffeur drive, at other cities in the world. Etihad actually already does that.
Right.
It charges you if you want to pay for if you want a chauffeur to drive you around in Munich or something like that. So you could see that this goes into a lot of places. What Emirates is doing now, for instance, it can come and take your bags to the airport before you're even ready to go. It charges for that. So those are ancillary services. What else you could see is, for instance, hotels that the airline is partnered with. The airline gets a cut from that. Now that's an ancillary service which we won't necessarily associate with an unbundled package.
But it is.
But it is.
Right. What about the food?
Well, I really hope Emirates doesn't make us pay for the food.
So do I. Okay, you've been watching Inside AB. Please do let us know what you think, though. Do you think we're going to see more unbundled services? What we're going to be expected to pay for in future? Perhaps you think it's fair, or is it unfair? Let us know in the comments below, and do subscribe. Join us tomorrow, it's a weekday, 10 a.m, and we'll see you then.